If you're in London, beware of ordering from a restaurant called the Italian Stallion. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett
Staunch.
and John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Welcome to the focus group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Find us at focusgroupradio.com. We're here live every Wednesday from 1 to 2. You could also download, besides this podcast, or you could watch on YouTube and Facebook Live, our Unbuttoned show, which is as a podcast we drop on Tuesdays, about 20 minutes long, 3 topics. Tim likes to say that we get a little more political in that one, I guess.
A little more.
A little more, a teeny bit more. And as I said, focusgroupradio.com is our URL. All our media is there, including information about us. So welcome to the week. And how are you doing, Mr. Bennett?
Oh, not too bad.
I have a funny story to kick us off with. Bob did a post on Facebook.
Bob did a post?
So I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Why are you laughing already?
Because he never posts. So Bob did a post on Facebook this past weekend. So he works for a big clothing manufacturing company called PVH, and Van Heusen's one of their brands, Calvin Klein, Speedo.
Oh, I saw the post, I think. He looked damn good.
Yes, they recruited staff of the company to be models for this Van Heusen white shirt campaign. And the idea was that there's a white shirt for everybody. Bob was cast. He was put in the slim column, which made him thrilled beyond belief. I'm slim. He's running around. I'm slim. Okay.
I've got a stomach the size of a doll.
It's going to explode if I have a wafer cookie, a waffle. He goes to the shoot. They do makeup and hair. The pictures came out great. He looks great. So then his company sent him a picture that he could post online with suggested text.
Oh.
So he sits and I'm outside doing something with my bike, fixing it or something. I come in and he goes, I want you to read something. So I go over and he's got the post all set. He's ready to post. And he's literally typed verbatim what they told him to say. So I said, Bob, you don't have to do that. Well, they told me to say this. I said, no. As long as you say at Van Heusen or whatever it is, it's fine. I said, but you have to make it personal. No one's going to, really? So then I go away. He comes back. Now, what do you think of this? Now it's a shorter post. And he hits post. And he plays like he's not paying attention to the computer. 15 minutes go by. I said, do you think you have a like? I don't care. I don't know. Half an hour goes by. I said, maybe you have I said, I bet Tim liked it. I said, Tim pays attention. I bet Tim either loved it or liked it. I don't care. It's not about the likes. But you better believe that the minute I turned my head, he was refreshing that page to see how many thumbs up he got. I think he got into the 20s or 30s, which, Bob...
Was he happy?
Oh, he was, yeah. But it was
a really good picture of him.
Not
that he's not a handsome man, but it was a good picture.
Yeah, he looked great. And I just laughed because I stood there and I said, Bob, you do know that we're acting like old people. Honey, I'm going to have the grandkids come over. We're going to do a post. Click. So that's how I start today.
You said we had another post you were going to tell me about. On
yes.
YouTube.
Okay. So now and then I go. So we're available in audio format on iTunes, Apple iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Spotify. You could watch us via focusgroupradio.com on video we have posted there, which takes you to YouTube or Facebook Live. We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
But now and then
media is found.
But now and then I check out the iTunes page because people leave reviews. And there was a brand new.
I've never even looked.
Oh, you should. Well. Listeners, thank you, everybody. We're a 5-star show. Solid 5 stars.
Really? Well, that's nice.
It's not even 4 3/4. It's 5. I like that. So we do have a new review that's up, and I forget the person. It's a name. It's like a made-up screen name or something. But it was spot on, because here's what the guy said. He goes, love Tim and John. Love the show. Always get something out of it. Have been listening since the satellite days. But John doesn't have to repeat all of Tim's punchlines. It's a behavior that I've had for years.
Really?
Yeah. And Bob, I read it, and Bob said, oh, my God, it's true. So I was listening to our show after this, and you said, folks, the only reason I do it is because I'm making myself laugh twice. So if Tim says something that I find funny, I repeat it so I can laugh again.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, I do it all the time. And now that he said it, I gotta like dial it back.
Huh.
Guys, have you ever noticed that? Like I'll repeat stuff Tim says, like punchlines and stuff.
Didn't pop out to me, no, but now I probably will.
I would not have noticed that.
Well, I won't be doing it anymore.
I would say you don't pay. I say there's times you don't pay attention.
Lots of times, yeah.
I remember one time on the old platform we had just discussed with Caroline probably a 3 or 4 minute discussion about the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And then you had said after we were moving on to the next thing, you guys like the Rolling Stones? And even Caroline said, "What do you think we were just talking about for the last 4 or 5 minutes?"
I have to say, and we know Garrett used to be over at the old platform. One of the things I do miss about the satellite experience was when the clock hit 11, we were on.
Yeah.
And we were on for 2 hours. And you had
Train started and there was no stopping.
you had to fill you had to fill the time. And you could have funny conversations like that. Or you would I zoned out sometimes. You knew my game. So the old studio, Tim sat in a position where he could have command of the room.
Yeah, I wanted to see who's coming and going.
Far away from the door as possible. I was
It was
always...
Romaine's seat.
That was Romaine's seat.
And Keith's seat.
And I sat in Keith, and Michelangelo sat in my spot.
It was you, Michelangelo, and Derek and Frank, and then Keith and Romaine were over in my seat.
It says, yeah. But I used to be distracted by ships leaving the harbor because we had a beautiful view of the Hudson River.
Boys walking by and people walking by. You get distracted here. Someone walks in here, you throws your whole game off. You got to look, see who it is.
It's like a dog or a cat,
Yeah.
right? With little
a little
shiny,
cat. Who's here?
shiny things. Yeah.
Mike and Trixie. Anyway, so what was that? Where were you going with this?
I just wanted to share that that there was the post thing that happened, and because I found it to be so utterly amusing. We take it for granted now, this posting and tweeting, and to have him labor over this one thing and then click, post.
Oh, there it is. I did this. This wasn't a caught my eye, but today I saw something. A friend of mine, Dave Owens, who's a writer up at the Hartford Courant, posted this. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but a New York designer has come out with a line of T-shirts. I posted it to our Facebook page, which is Focus Group Radio Facebook page. I think it's horrible and disgusting.
Oh,
So he came out with a line of sweatshirts with bullet holes in them with the names of the different schools where the mass shootings were. So Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech, Columbine.
hoodies
Parkland.
too.
Hoodies.
Yeah,
And they had just had a fashion show the last
I did see that on the
few days ago. I don't know. No, I don't know. I mean, I do know. I just think I don't find anything good about that. Do you?
I'll be a little contrarian and say something that's kind of interesting that I'm picking this up from others who
There
have
we
written
go,
this.
there.
So that was a big kerfuffle because
Would you wear a Sandy Hook sweatshirt with bullet holes in it?
no, I wouldn't.
Any of you guys?
No. But here's something that and by the way, in the booth we have Garrett and we have Steve and we have Robbie.
Bobby.
Is it
Robbie
or Bobby Robbie?
I think it's interchangeable.
Well, no, it's one or the other, right?
Robbie Bobby.
RB.
I wrote it down wrong then.
I'll remember that because my
RB.
Bob is Robert Barnes, so we have Robbie Bobby. A couple of years ago, an article came out by a photojournalist who was questioning, and I'm being serious now, he was questioning the reason why we never see actual photography of crime scenes, mass shootings, war zone pictures. And he said, when you think about the Vietnam War, there was one picture that was so emblematic of that conflict that was towards the end. It was that little girl running away from the naked little girl running from the village. And he had the opinion that if we actually saw the brutality and the remains, the carnage, perfect word, thank you, that's what I should have said, the carnage, we would think differently about these mass shootings because it would be more immediate and it would be visceral and it would be real. Instead, we'd never allow the photography, we don't say the person's name, and doing something like the hoodie is considered to be really, really off the charts and horrible, and yet it does spur conversation, and we should be talking about it. At least that's my thought. I'm not saying I would wear one, but I do applaud the fact that we don't let it slip away from public memory that this was a horrible thing that happened.
Yeah, I could understand the memory of it and of support if you wore one. I think having them have bullet holes in them is a step too far.
Now that's a fascinating. So when they were, do you think that it came down to them designing the line and they put the names of the schools on and the locations, and at some point in the creative process, someone said, you know what, let's push it up to an 11 from a 10. Let's put bullet. That's a funny line. It's a
Well, the next one would be let's make them bloodstained.
agreed. If you're going to go,
So if I'm going to do, I'm doing the school, I'm doing bullet holes. There was a mass massacre at these schools.
Virginia Tech, whatever it is.
So I don't know. I just found it horrible and distasteful and disgusting and everything else. But
But to contrast that, don't you find the inaction on all this horrible and disgusting? And,
I do. Mass massacre, Mitch, Moscow, Mitch.
I think it was NPR and National Public Radio had a little bit on the PBS NewsHour, and it was an interviewer talking to 3 gun owners out west. All 3 of them are like, we need to do expanded background checks immediately. We all agree. I'm like, okay, they're all gun owners. Some of them have machine guns and assault rifles, but they're all like, we got to do this. And then it kind of got different after that in their perception of open carry, their positions on your right to bear arms, the whole bit. But there was common ground on a lot of sensible things in that interview. And so why does that happen? So you could be offended and pissed off by someone doing these hoodies, right? Which is fair. But I take it and say to myself, I'm offended and pissed off by our elected officials doing zip.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different conversation.
That's a year. It's
Oh no, it's been held up. They even talked about it today. Mass massacre Mitch won't bring anything forward because he wants to make sure the president is on board with it. So he doesn't even want to pass the background check bill.
So on that point, I've been thinking about that one too. And my first thought was, oh, okay, so he knows how the body politic works. He needs the votes on the floor. He needs the signature of the president. But what does
Let the president veto it and say no.
Exactly.
If you've got all of Congress...
But he doesn't want to put him in that position because he looks bad.
That's
right?
called tough shit.
Yeah.
You're a leader. Make a decision.
And I bet
if you're going to veto it, then Trump, show us who you are.
Yeah.
But my guess is if it passed through, they'd let it go.
Well, and I bet you there's enough Republican support for
There's
it.
plenty of Republican support for it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. It'll take another mass shooting, and we'll talk and give thoughts and prayers again.
And on that, I'm not even sure it will, because every time we have one, this is the one that's going to move the needle. Yeah. All the talking heads say the same thing. This is different this time. It's different this time. It's the Parkland kids who are now the youth moving and mobilizing. Now it's this. Now, I think the most effective thing that came out of some of the discussion was Walmart deciding to not carry certain ammunition, and saying to their customers, if you have open carry, you don't
come in.
We don't want you in the store with that, showing to other customers. And then
it's unnerving.
And then another bunch of companies followed suit. But yeah, that was an interesting thing that you brought up. So that was a friend that posted that, who wrote it to Harvard?
Yeah, there was a friend of mine I went to college with. He's a journalist.
He reported on it.
Yeah, or he posted it. It was in his paper, the Hartford Courant, and he posted it this morning, and I saw it, and I was just shocked about it. His title to there was "The World's Full of Assholes." Was kind of his play on it.
Post.
All
right. What caught your eye officially?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
This also came from a listener, Marianne in Chicago. You know Marianne.
Oh, thank you, Marianne.
So it was posted on her Facebook site, and I thought it was a joke because it was I'll just say what it is. It's Augustin's Farms funeral potatoes. So I thought it was a joke, and then...
It's not some foreign language thing where it's available and they got this English...
No, it's funeral potatoes, as my grandfather would say in Canada. Funeral potatoes. Potatoes. So, now, when I was at Subaru, Karen Allen, there was a little bar we would go to in Collingwood, New Jersey. Now, why is it escaping my mind? But we would go there, and they had funeral chicken. And so they always made this chicken dish whenever there was a funeral. And so it got nicknamed Funeral Chicken because every time there was, and even when they had my going away party, they ordered funeral chicken.
All right.
So this is called funeral potatoes. So I'm like, this can't possibly be. So I did a little research. So this Augustin Farms is a brand which calls itself the leader in emergency food storage, survival gear, and water storage. And the bagged potatoes they have a shelf life of 18 months. You can get them at Amazon. You can get them through Walmart. Sells them right off the shelf.
A year and a half, right? Yeah.
It says the traditional casserole, funeral potatoes, has become a pleasing favorite at funeral luncheons, church gatherings, family dinners, and holiday meals. I'm going to get you a bag.
Please do.
All the essential ingredients to create a hearty classic dish are right here in one convenient package. Make it your own, John, by garnishing it with, get this, cornflakes, breadcrumbs, bacon, jalapenos, and more.
You mean?
See if you're paying attention.
I am. I didn't. I don't want to repeat your punchline, but you mean jalapenos.
Jalapenos, jalapenos. With August and Farm's funeral potatoes in your pantry, you'll get the delicious goodness you love in one easy to prepare recipe. Just add water. It's 100% real potatoes. Makes a 9x13 casserole. Top it with cheese and cornflakes.
I am.
What do you boys think of the funeral potatoes?
And guys,
I'm down.
You know that. Hey, Steve, could you put that picture back up again? Who is pouring the potatoes out of the bag?
Oh, I found that online. I don't know. It looks like a witch.
Looks like some witch
Witchy
or a
poo.
claw. If you see that?
Funeral potatoes.
OMG, right?
So I thought this was, back when we were kids. What
Oh, is that supposed to be death pouring
Yeah,
the? Okay, I got
What was
it.
that? They were like those cards they would do, and they always made fun of ads and products, Mad Libs or Mad Cards or something.
Those ad libs or Mad Libs.
No, they were bubblegum cards, wacky
Oh,
packs.
wacky packs.
Wacky packs. So I thought that was a wacky pack thing, funeral potatoes. But no, it's real.
Mine is kind of in a similar, like, can't believe it's real vein, but this ended up not being real, but funny. A YouTuber scammed his way onto a food delivery site with microwaved meals. So a guy named Josh Pieters, Pieters, got the fake restaurant, the Italian Stallion, onto a UK site called Deliveroo.
Giddy up.
His microwave meals were actually delivered to customers. London-based YouTuber Josh has played the food delivery platform Deliveroo, having registered his apartment as a restaurant and sold microwavable meals per a report from Insider. He exposed the scam, which he did with friend and magician. Hey, they should have done some magic when they deliver stuff off. Archie Manners, in a YouTube video uploaded on Saturday. Prank videos like this one are pretty standard for Pieters, whose popular uploads include I tricked influencers. I like this one. He did a video called I tricked influencers into promoting gravel.
So what did he actually do?
All right, so here it goes. After Pieters and Manners registered the Italian Stallion as a website and official company and made some social media accounts, they tried to get Deliveroo listing Pieters' apartment building as the restaurant's address. Despite a missing hygiene rating, the restaurant, in air quotes, was given the go-ahead. So despite having a picture of a TV personality named Gemma Collins as the chef on the website. So they took a woman off TV and they said, here's your chef.
So they made up this food delivery.
Yeah, for the Italian
restaurant.
And it was delivery only. And an AirPod as feta cheese. So part of the photograph had this little AirPod. It looked like it's supposed to be feta cheese. And no food hygiene inspection of any kind. Deliveroo was happy to get us going. So I got them going. Soon enough, orders started coming in, likely due to a 40% off promotion on all of the Italian Stallion's food. In the video, Pieters and Manners scramble as they read package labels, run the microwave, and assemble meals in plastic containers. So as to not scam anyone too badly, Pieters and Manners provided the microwaved meals along with a note explaining the joke, as well as enough cash to cover the entire order. The Italian Stallion is now dormant.
Well, what a brilliant idea. So they took frozen food and they pretended
Zapped
they were
it,
some
put it in
restaurant
plastic
delivery.
containers, and sent it out.
That's a great idea. I think we should try something like that.
You know, I thought you'd say that, and I felt the same way. I thought, wow, this is sort of clever.
Yes.
They totally scammed. Not only, they had to, like...
Wasn't it England, too? It's crappy Italian food there anyway, so nobody would know. They're just happy they got a meatball.
Bad food, yeah. Happy they gotta... Yeah. I was going to repeat yours. I was going to repeat your punchline.
Happy they got a meatball?
You can say it. I can't. I can't repeat that.
Oh, that's what you mean.
That's
I
exactly.
don't think that's repeating a punchline.
Yeah, but that's because you've known me like since I was 10. and it's apparently a verbal tick. So all right.
Well, that was a good one. I like that one. We could do that. Maybe we could do our own delivery thing.
You'd have to think of the name of the restaurant.
Well, Italian Stallion wasn't very good. Do you think so? I don't think I'd
Might as
order
well
from
be
them.
that Rocky ran the place, right? Rocky.
We'll have to come up with something. I think that's a good one.
Adrian, order the food.
Business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
This would be one we put in a book, John. Her name was Deborah Jane Siver. You know her as Debbie Fields, the founder and spokesperson of Mrs. Fields Bakeries.
Seriously.
Additionally, she's written several cookbooks and makes cookies. She's a resident of Tennessee. She moved to Nashville in 2014. Her husband, David Ross, recently died of cancer. He was the CEO and chairman of the Holiday Corp and Harrah's Entertainment. So she was, in 1969, she was a ball girl for the Oakland Athletics. I can't. So she chased balls that would go down out of bounds and foul territory. So she got $5 an hour for getting the balls.
Chasing the balls. Okay.
Chasing balls, she got $5 an hour. That's not bad. Anyway, she took her money, and she would buy real butter and ingredients for cookies, because she thought cookies should be made with real products, not margarine or anything. So she instituted a milk and cookies break for the umpires there at the Oakland A's back in the late 60s, early 70s.
After all the balls were run after and collected,
they work up a sweat check chasing all those balls.
Balls, yeah.
So she took her $5, and then she would go and buy real goods and make cookies. So here, I think this is quite sad, though. So at the age of 19, she married a 29-year-old Stanford grad named Randall Keith Fields. And he was founder of a financial and economic consulting firm called the Fields Investment Group. And that's how she got her last name, Fields. So she said, my husband was trying to start an investment firm, and I was very happy being a housewife. Can you imagine this? Listen to what happened to her. She said, one night we went to dinner at a beautiful, intimidating home of one of my husband's clients. The man asked me, what do you do? Oh, I replied, I'm just trying to get orientated. So the man got up, pulled an enormous leather-bound dictionary off the shelf, put it on my lap, and told me, the word is oriented. If you can't speak the English language, you shouldn't speak at all.
She's at someone's home for dinner?
She said, incredibly embarrassed, I was sitting there in the library with tears streaming down my cheeks. I realized at that point I wanted to be somebody. I could hear my father's voice telling me that wealth was doing what you love, and if you love what you do, you'll be successful, and I loved cookies. So that night, I gathered myself together, and I set out to become somebody. Now, can you imagine being at somebody's house and them doing that to you? And what did the husband do?
Well, that's the missing piece, but I do love her father's. Wealth is doing what you love.
Right.
Okay. That's a little silver lining to that. Nasty.
So she set out.
There's better ways of correcting someone.
You don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't have somebody in your home like that and make them feel uncomfortable.
Or you
didn't even have dinner yet.
Or you do it with me. You say the word correctly, and either I ignore you or I don't. But you keep saying the word the right way until I figure out that it's not the way I'm saying it.
So then she actually has some good advice. She brought up the idea of going into this cookie business. Her whole family told her she was crazy. She went to bank after bank after bank with her business plan and her cookies. She said, they loved eating all my cookies, but they all said no. And she said, I got up every day and went to bank after financial institution after financial institution. She said, finally I managed to get a loan. It was ridiculous 21% loan.
Gouging. She was gouged, but she got the money, right?
But she got the money, and she said, the advice the banker gave to her was, even if you have a good product, if nobody knows about it, you need to let them sample it first before they buy it. And she said, and my personal tip here. So that's why if you ever go to see Mrs. Fields, and they're always out front holding them to try them. She also said, for any entrepreneurs or people looking to try to find a loan, small business trying to find a loan, I thought this was great advice. She said, find the nearest banker ready for retirement. She said, that person, he or she, is less concerned about the technicalities and more interested in following their heart. So they're more likely to loan you the money because
That's a Sherlock Holmes game. I mean, you walk into a banker. I mean, she every day. So where was she at when this was happening? Where was she living at?
California,
So whatever the radius was around her
Oakland's
home,
right around San Francisco.
she would
Every day.
tirelessly and with enthusiasm. And by the way, if any of you own your own business, you're not, or you work for a company, you're not enthusiastic every day, right? But she
No.
had to be on to do this
Yeah, it was from 76. It took her 9 years.
to get the financing.
Yeah, she went around. She began her business in 77. Yeah, and she got married. No, I'm sorry, it took her a year. It was 76 to 77. So then she also said. So her first day they opened, they didn't sell much. So she took the banker's advice and hit the streets with the cookies and ended up selling $75 worth that day, which they were delighted. They also asked her if there was anything else that she learned. She said that feedback needs to be immediate. You can't wait to do research, particularly in food business a month later. She said you got to get it done in real time. If something's not good, you need to take care of it right away, which I thought made a lot of sense. She also said never ask a question of anybody when they could say no. So, when you go into a store, can I
Interesting
help you?
point.
No, I'm just looking. She said never ask anybody in the business a question.
So you never want the. I wonder how she.
She said she gave an example. She
Okay.
said when I call a hotel, I don't ask, can you give me a discount?
What does she say instead?
So she says, first I call and I ask for the name of the person I'm speaking with, and I say to them, can you direct me to the person who can give me the lowest price for a room?
I like that.
She said, when I get to that person, I ask that person if they have the power to say yes. They tell me they are, and at that point, they've already agreed.
Hey,
I just haven't asked.
I agree with you. She needs to be in our business birthday book.
Right. And then she has one more thing, final word of wisdom. She said the American dream is true, but it really takes hard work, and you have to constantly persevere. She said even the word impossible says, I'm possible.
Okay, so Debbie Fields, I like this.
I initially didn't like her because I saw her picture. She was homecoming queen. She
Now,
was prom queen.
By the way, I thought you were going down a different road with her husband.
What'd you think?
Well, I think if I replay this in my head, you were disappointed that he did not rise to her defense.
At least that's how it was. It didn't say he did, so I assume he didn't. And they're
All right,
divorced.
so but they're still together.
No, divorced.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. So she divorced him.
all right.
She actually divorced him. She waited a while. She divorced him in 97.
Oh, so they were married a good 20-some years, right?
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, right. And then she put, I took off the headline. Anyway, Debbie Fields, she opened up 600 and some stores, sold them for $450 million in the 90s. Good job.
And, and I hope that was after the divorce.
Doesn't say that.
I would love to know that because then that husband would go all the way back to that dinner party and say to himself,
Remember when?
Yeah, exactly. Remember when?
I thought it was sad. I don't know. I just thought that was really. I can't imagine going to somebody's home and having them make you feel so uncomfortable like that.
Okay, but you and I have been in situations where we've been at dinners in people's homes where something has happened, and as a guest, you're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this just happened," or "I'm uncomfortable." Yeah. But you don't ever do that to someone. And look, I guess there's a better way of doing it if you took her aside and said, "Hey, Debbie, the pronunciation is oriented." I guess it still sounds kind of demeaning and.
I had a friend that used to correct me all the time. Is no longer a friend.
Enough said. Enough said, right? Yeah, right. All right. If you are a fan of the Focus Group, then you most certainly are a fan of Deep Discount. They have been a partner of ours here for a while on the show, and we encourage you to visit their site by going to focusgroupradio.com and clicking on the Deep Discount logo, which is a shark, but it always gets a pirate. Arr, the shark. So right off the bat, we want to let you know that Deep Discount is carrying the new Sega Genesis Mini. It's arriving, so our show today is the 18th. It's going to be available tomorrow, Thursday the 19th. So get ready to order.
Pre-order it.
You pre-order it. It looks like a super cool thing. So it's the Genesis console that's been miniaturized. Out of the box, you can plug it directly into your TV. It comes with all the cables you need and the controllers, and it comes with, and Garrett's playing all these games. Yeah, so it comes with all these games that, when we were younger, these are the kind of games that I could actually play and win. Let's put the win part on there too. Games like Sega, let's see, Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter, Gunstar Heroes, Road Rash, and of course, Tetris, one of my personal favorites.
I love Tetris.
So Tim thinks this is a very, this is a giftable.
Well, I think for a person of a certain age, which would probably be a tad younger than us,
Yeah.
because this was a little, we were
It's a
in
little,
college.
we were in college, yeah, but this was still a desirable thing.
Oh, yeah, very much desirable. But I would say if you had somebody in your life that had played these things where they used to have to load up the cassettes or whatever, these all come preloaded. It's all ready to go. You just plug it into
No
your
cartridges,
set.
no nothing. It's
You just plug
hardwired.
it in and go. And there's 42 games, I think.
Yep. And so head on over to Deep Discount to check out the Sega Genesis Mini. It goes on. It will be available. You could pre-order it, but it will be available tomorrow, the 19th, and from that day forward. All right. This is also Criterion Month here on the Deep Discount segment. We love the Criterion studio. When they release a movie, or when they re-release a movie, they often do a really great showcase. They'll do a clean print, great audio, and it's, in my opinion, it's the, here's a fancy SAT word, Tim, the ancillary matter. The stuff surrounding the main thing. Back of stage interviews, storyboards, talks with the director, and that really showcase the creative decision-making process behind some of the movies that we all love. So head on over to Deep Discount, check out their Criterion section, and they gave us some discs to give away this month. And what we're going to do is this. We're going to play an audio clue. It's a game called Pick That Flick. We used to do it on our old platform, and boy, everybody's very clever with movies. So we're going to play an audio clue. If you know the name of the movie this came from, send us a note to letters@focusgroupradio.com, letters@focusgroupradio.com. Include your address if you don't check your email too often, the email that you use to let us know that the name of the movie. In particular, there's a listener named Josh who won one of these things but didn't include his address, and I haven't heard back from him, and I'm waiting to send him a copy of Clute from another week ago. So, Garrett, let's play that clue.
Well, where is she? Look, this is her daughter. Well, do you know where she is? Do you know when she'll be back? Do you know anything?
I finally know a movie.
That was chosen for Mr. Tim Bennett. If you need the clue again, just rewind or go back a little bit on the scroll bar. But that was chosen by Bob and I for you.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not sure I would have picked that clip, but...
It's the end of our Criterion giveaway, so I may be generous and say that the first 2 or 3 people that get discs or able to get socks or something like that. And what's the release this week? And I loved your face when you said, "I finally know a movie."
The release this week is something that I'm dying to see because I love all of his documentaries. It's Ken Burns' Country Music on Blu-ray, and there's actually been quite a bit of promotion around this. And it's an 8-part, 16-hour documentary series that chronicles the history of this unique American art form. And I always used to say that country music is really what separates us from the rest of the world, I think. I mean, country music, you could probably say North American, because I know in Canada, country music
Slightly different.
But it's also very popular there, and there's a number of country
You a
artists.
fan?
But I love country music.
Okay.
But I'm not sure there's a lot of country music around the world that's not has its roots in America. And of course, it's what Ken Burns, I'd seen an interview recently, and he talks about how a lot of the origins come from all the different cultures, particularly that make up the South and even parts of, he talks about Halifax, Nova Scotia, with the Creoles, people that had moved down to Louisiana. But
So is his point that it's a uniquely American?
it's a uniquely American art
Music,
form
yeah.
and music form, and it now is obviously has a worldwide appeal. But I always love country music. You're not a big fan?
I'm a fan of some songs, but I'm definitely a huge fan of the Ken Burns storytelling style, so I'm going to want to watch country music.
I remember in our old platform we used to do Shania Twain's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," and you, Katie, and Shaq loved it, and I loved it. And she'd always play it a little longer, and you'd get irritated.
They did it on purpose.
Well, why didn't you like the song?
I heard it too much. It was overplayed.
Oh my goodness!
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go, girls. So that's the clip of that's the release of
New
the week.
release, yeah.
So head over to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo. Start shopping away. Be sure to pick up the Sega Genesis Mini, which goes on sale on September 19th, which is Thursday tomorrow. Or if you're time shifting, it's available now. And
Time shifting forward, like yeah.
then rewind and listen to Pick That Flick and get something from our Criterion showcase, and or a pair of socks if too many people win the game. And then the new release this week is Ken Burns' Country Music on Blu-ray. Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we've got a shop talk and then another surprise in store, so stay tuned.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hey, it's John and Tim here on the Focus Group. Thanks for sticking with us. FocusGroupRadio.com is where you need to go to find out all the information about our show, audio and video platforms, including another audio podcast we do on Tuesdays called TFG Unbuttoned. And it's a little bit of me and Tim off the cuff with 3 immediate stories. Drops every Tuesday. So as Tim teased before the break, we have a shop talk here. It came out of the New York Times from their advertising section, which, if I could just sidebar for a minute, you remember when we actually had an advertising columnist at the New York Times?
Who was that?
Stuart Elliott.
We haven't had him on in a while.
We need to have him on again. Stuart was the advertising columnist for when I first began my career in New York City in advertising, and he retired about 2 or 3 years ago. And frankly, as Tim and I like to say, if you made his column, you really made it. And I got to be in his column 2 or 3 times. I think you were in a number of times as well for Subaru. And he's just a super cool guy. But there was a piece that came out in under their advertising title, but they don't have a dedicated column anymore. And it's called Underwear Ads Lose the Macho: How Marketing Has Embraced Real Men. Okay. You know that I don't necessarily agree with that title by that little pregnant pause there, but so there's been a rash of TV ads coming out from a variety of brands, and they're featuring what the journalists called normal male bodies or normal men, and it's this whole trend about real versus the model kind of chiseled jaw, 6-pack kind of thing, especially when it comes to selling underwear. So, what did you think of this?
Well,
there you go.
I wrote sex sells.
Tim, look, I said no, sex and a hard body still sells.
And then I also put, if you remember, although of course they're out of business now, but I think it's because of mail order, or it's because of the demise of a lot of brick and mortar and smaller online shops. International Mail, the catalog.
Oh my God, yeah.
You knew you might buy that thong or buy that harness or whatever you're going to buy, and other than the 3 people in the world that would actually look good in that, made a hell of a lot of money. But they equate
aspirational shopping.
Right, they equate this with what's happened with women.
Yes.
And about not being so stereotypical about bodies and perfect bodies and poor self-image that particularly we've done. And advertising and marketing has done to affect a lot of women, which feel inferior if they don't meet a certain standard.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree with. I think with this men's thing, though, the one part I was really confused about, they said that there was a clothing company that was called Tomboy X.
Tomboy, yeah.
and it included hashtag genderless and androgyny, and it was underwear for either gender. Well, unless it's a pair of boxers, can any of you boys wear ladies' panties?
No.
Because they don't fit.
I won't admit to that.
What's that?
I said I won't admit to that.
But you know what I mean. Women's and men's bodies are cut differently. So a pair of briefs that a man would read
just the
would be
simple-
baggy on a woman, and women's underwear briefs on a man would.
Even T-shirts. If I put on my girlfriend's T-shirt or
Yeah.
something, it fits differently.
Yeah, it's anatom. There's actual anatomical differences, and that's fine. But
So I was a little confused by
So-
the genderless underwear that they said was a trend.
so one paragraph here: the emphasis on men with ordinary bodies and others who didn't or don't fit tired stereotypes seems like progress for an industry that a decade ago featured a shirtless hunk scented with Old Spice. These days, more and more advertisers are telling men they don't need to be the buffest or most interesting man in the world, just themselves. And then another paragraph says the Dollar Shave Club echoed the theme with a commercial that showed one man playing video games on the toilet and another shaving his legs while in full makeup to a soundtrack of Steve Lawrence crooning "I Gotta Be Me." So at this point in the article, and there's probably about 7 or 8 more paragraphs to go before the end, I actually just kind of cocked my head and I thought, wait a minute. And this is before I got to the part that I bet you even looked at too. Are they selling to me? Because I don't necessarily, and I don't want to be anything other than saying I don't necessarily relate to either of those guys they depicted playing video games on the toilet or shaving my legs in full makeup saying I gotta be me. Later in the article, which I think was an interesting place for it to fall, did you do the same thing towards the end of the article? A marketing consultant struck a note of skepticism to describe message-heavy campaigns. And she says this: it's virtue hustling, and it's woke washing. Boy, she's got that down. She said in an interview, and it's trendy. Advertising has been so mired in stereotypes and tropes about men and women that anything that looks like reality is celebrated right now. And then she said, some observers said that the new style and ads for men's products might not really be intended for a male audience. I bet it's women, said Lisa Wade, a sociologist specializing in gender at Occidental College, who noted that women do much of the spending on such products. That, to me, was really... That kind of takes the whole front end of the article about, is this a trend that's changing and happening? And it...
But I would think women want their men to look nice too, right? It's the whole reason Calvin Klein was successful.
Yeah.
The Calvin Klein underwear ad, and what was it, Marky Mark with his crotch holding the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think we've gone, this is the old curmudgeon in me probably, but I think we've gone too far in some of this stuff of trying to be all things to all people, and you end up with mush.
Well, in this case, I think it's kind of a weird thing to start off by saying there's a new trend in selling men's underwear, and it's using real people and real bodies. And then to be at the end of the article to realize, I think this is the truth. I think that someone did research and said if 80% of the women are buying their husband's underwear, then those ads are appealing to the women and not to the men. So that really has nothing to do with men's underwear shift. It just means that they're now recognizing who the purchaser is and they're crafting the message for
So do you think the women were attracted to those frumpy guys then?
I could imagine if you and I were in an ad agency and you were account manager, creative director, or you're CMO and I'm creative guy. We got numbers here that say women are buying this stuff. Well, hey, women don't. Women know that these guys aren't real. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm so, Bob's company just did a photo shoot for Nike is launching underwear, like a men's underwear.
Nike underwear?
And he said that they...
when I come to think of it, I wonder why it's taken them so long.
Interesting thing, right?
Taken. Like Judge Jody. The words take. Taken. Tooken.
Tooken. I took in the car down to the gas station.
Write that down. It's going to be in our dictionary.
You got to run out of paper there. So, so what were we talking about?
So Bob's company was doing Nike underwear
ad. He said that they cast he saw the casting. He said the lobby was filled with like a lot of young guys, but they weren't just models. They were physique models. Like, so that he saw the final packaging recently. Obviously, they don't show a head, but he said that if it's showing a pair of like boxer briefs, he said the legs on this one guy, they had to actually airbrush out some of the hard edge shadows that the muscles were causing because you could see it's almost like an anatomy book. And he said, why would they do that? I said, that's aspirational. Nike is about athleticism and performance, and you're showing a body that's almost not even real, but you can attain it. You know,
Do they have to airbrush out the units?
Oh, he said they spend a great deal of time doing that. Yeah, they make that smooth.
Why don't they just leave it?
They have on occasion. He said some things have gotten through, but this year's catalog used to let them through.
People get upset about the.
Some people do, yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? It's.
Well, I guess you're not going to show woman's chest either with her.
Yeah.
In case it was cold out.
Yeah.
Would you? I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. Do you have a problem with it?
No.
You buy underwear based on the package, or do you buy just a specific type of underwear?
Great question. So, no, I'm not influenced by the package, it's by the fit. And once I have a brand that I like,
that's it.
And then when they change, and they do that sometimes, they'll change the material, or they'll change the band, or there'll be a slight change in the tailoring. Then you got to do the whole process all over again. Totally random on this one. I took a yoga class last week, and it's mixed. It was about 20 people in the room, and 2 or 3 of the guys come in and they set up their mats and then they took their shirts off. And I actually just thought about it for a minute.
Was it hot yoga?
No, not at all. It's an air-conditioned studio. It wasn't hot. And I just thought, you know what? I don't think that should be allowed.
Why?
Women can't do it.
Women can in New York. I think you're allowed to be topless in New York.
I doubt at the gym I go to they would have allowed that to happen. But the guys can do it like that. Just take off your shirts. And no one says a word. And I'm thinking to myself, if I were a woman, I'd be a little bit pissed about that.
If you're a woman and you got boobies, you can't do the downward dog, whatever. They'd be bouncing all over.
Well, let's say a woman has like a sports bra on.
Well, she could do that then.
You know, a sports bra, right?
Yeah, well, then got to hold them together. But would you let her take her bra off?
I wouldn't. No, my point is that, you know, they don't even have those options because culturally it's okay for a guy to do it. It's not okay for a woman because we're such a prudish culture. You were just talking about underwear ads and women. And
I understand in New York you can be topless on the streets, a woman.
It is legal, yeah. But
so if she wanted to at the gym, I'm sure she could drag out her 38 longs and do yoga. But I don't know if, you know.
Oh boy! Oh,
were you upset that the boys took the shirts off?
Not at all. It was.
But you thought it was not.
I just thought it was kind of. It was kind of like if it
I'm
was.
surprised they did too because it doesn't sound like this was the kind of place to do it.
It's not hot yoga, and it was.
Did you do hot yoga?
No. You know the reason why is. No, I just wouldn't do it.
What about? Is that the same as nude yoga?
No, that's even different altogether too.
Would
and
you
nude
do that
yoga.
one?
No, I have no desire.
It stinks. Did you get sweaty and hot? Don't you think? You boys do yoga?
I do goat yoga.
What
have you done that? No, you're lying. You're totally lying. That's where you go to a farm and the goats walk all over. They're baby goats and they walk over. Jared, that's hysterical. That's good. I like that.
Steve, no yoga?
No, never.
I would do it. I just never actually do it.
I want to do it too. Richard's talked about
I'll tell you a quick yoga story. So I'm in class one day, and there's this handsome, very polite guy comes in, beautiful physique, in great shape. He sets up next to me, says hello to my friend Chris, this woman I see in my class now and then. She's a great. And we're chit-chatting. Class starts. We do and he had not really done yoga. He knew some of the basics, but and it's an athletic class. We were moving along. End of the class, he's sitting there. We're rolling up our mats, and I said, "Did you enjoy class?" And he goes, man. He goes, "This thing has whooped my ass." He goes, "And I work out." I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, "I didn't know you needed all that core strength and leg strength, and it's a workout. It's hard."
Oh no, I would like to do it. Do you have your own little mat?
No. The studio has the mat.
What do you wear?
Shorts and a t-shirt.
Do you have to wear like a jock or something? Hold it all in?
No, if you're wearing your
shorts,
your underwear is fine.
Shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. Any special shoes, or you're barefoot?
Barefoot. And if you're going to ever do yoga, anybody, do a fundamentals class first. Just don't walk into a studio where they say everybody's welcome. Make sure you do fundamentals first.
You do the same thing every time? Or it depends on the instructor?
The instructors change it up, but I go to 3 different instructors, and they're each extremely different. One that I really like a lot, this guy named Nick. every time I go, he's got something else going on, and it's a fun class because you follow the instructions, and you're like, how did I get into this pose? You know, it's
Ever
interesting.
release, do a little gas or something?
No, I haven't, but I have heard that. You know,
What do you do?
Yeah, I laugh when I hear it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am such a child that a fart joke is. I'm gonna always laugh at that.
I even do in the bathroom. If I'm in a public restroom and I hear somebody fart, I laugh. Why wouldn't you?
All right, to wrap up the show today, Tim was.
My mother's listening. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, come on, Mrs. Bennett. She knows. Did you distribute the cookies to?
Yes, I did, to the boys in the booth.
What
do we have? What's our flavor
Robbie,
today?
Bobby. We have something that I am dead curious, and I'm going to definitely take some of these home for Bob. One of our favorite flavors, Oreo Mint. Oh, thank you, Steve. Mint chocolate chip.
From Baskin Robbins.
It's Baskin Robbins branded. Oh, so did you have one yet?
I haven't had it yet.
All right. You thought it smelled like. So, guys, you're going
It smells like a Baskin Robbins. It smells like the Girl Scout cookies, too.
It smells a little like that kind of.
The Girl Scouts mint chip, mint thins, thin mints.
Thin mints.
We're all tasting our Baskin Robbins mint chip Oreo cookie with a chocolate cookie and a mint cream inside.
If anybody, as you all know on the show, we do have a scientist on board in the control booth. That's Garrett, our Oreographer. Sometimes we say Oreologist, but he's an Oreographer, a mapper of flavor, a mapper of Oreos. And we go to him first because he's the guy that knows these things. I'm curious to hear what you're gonna say, Garrett.
I didn't know Crest made Oreos.
Oh!
This man has no class.
I'm just never a favor of mint and sweet.
Garrett, we really should let Steve and Garrett take the show over one day, and we'll go push buttons.
Well, it'd be a mess.
Well, that's the fun of it, right? I mean, the camera's doing something. The minute he says this, though, that's why it's polarized now. It's like it's the toothpaste mint, right?
Yeah, now I can't eat it. It's disgusting. You're right. It does taste like toothpaste. Let's let everyone else decide.
Steve, what'd you think?
It needs to be cold. I like the ice cream, but that wasn't that good. That wasn't.
All right, so it's like mint chocolate, like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, not good. Not a fan.
Did Robbie Bobby try it? Did he get a chance to try it? What did you think, Robbie Bobby?
I actually really liked it. I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was good. I wouldn't mind it after a meal. You kind of walk away with fresh breath. I liked it.
Boy, he gave that a great and it was almost like
give it a 10. You can dance to it. It's got a good beat. Like the old Dick Clark American Bandstand. You can dance to it. It's got a good beat.
And you get and I like it's almost like a palate cleanser.
What did you think, John?
I think it's just meh, MEH, meh. It's not. It's for me. It's in the middle of the road. It's like I've had better. Okay, so
I was going to say, over the years we've tried. God, it's had to be 50 flavors of these Oreo cookies. Is there one that stands out still for you?
I still like red velvet. I still like birthday cake, the vanilla cookie, and that's one of Garrett's favorites. And other than that, there might have been maybe s'mores, I think, if I recall correctly. We should have a list of these things.
I liked the lemon.
Oh, I remember the lemon, yeah.
I liked the pistachio. Didn't we?
Oh, the thin mint. They were the thin. Yeah. They were the thin ones.
Pistachio ones I really liked. And I think for me, those are the two that I like best. And just the regular old Oreo thin ones, I think, are good.
I love the thin. They're tricky.
Well, yeah, I'll have 8. Or I'll have a whole sleeve load.
A sleeve.
I was surprised these came out because there actually is a mint one.
There is.
This is mint chip, and it's obviously co-branded with Baskin Robbins.
So I'll just throw us back to last summer when we did our ice cream trip. Was it last summer we did the ice cream road trip? And we had some of the best mint chocolate chip ice cream I've ever had. We were in the
Amish.
We were the Amish. We were heart of Pennsylvania Dutch country, right?
Yep.
And if I compare that flavor, it doesn't even come close. Cold or just in the form of a cookie, they nailed that mint flavor. Really
there's a new Pennsylvania ice cream trail, but it's a little further west.
Towards Harrisburg?
Yeah, a little more. They had a new route this.
Are they trying to make
late
it harder
summer.
to get the T-shirts and the scoops? I guess.
I don't know, but I
One of my favorite T-shirts, by the way.
It is a good T-shirt. It would be fun to do again, but you'd have to. I thought if you were a family with kids or something, it'd be a great adventure.
Other
For
stops.
4 or 5 weeks, you could do every Sunday. Let's go for ice cream instead of doing it all like. Let's
so
say
if you're
3 in a
based
day.
in Philly or Allentown, you could say
Make an adventure of it.
Okay.
We're going to try these 2 or whatever. You map it out.
we were a bit aggressive. We did
12 of them in 2 days.
6 dairies per day.
Each day.
I remember by the
It was hot. It was about 1,000,000 degrees out.
It was 102, 103. We would get.
Vanilla was the standard. We had to have vanilla everywhere and see who had the best vanilla.
I remember the very last dairy. You and me, and Brian Roman.
Ugh.
Brian, I remember Brian going, "Do I really?
Like Chester County or something.
You guys, do I really have to?"
Chestertown, yeah.
we're half-heartedly scooping. We're like, "Yeah, it's good," but
Well, first stop, I think we got sundaes and ice creams and all this stuff, and then by the time we got to the end of the trip, it was like 1 cup of vanilla, please.
we're tired. It was very tiring. Yeah.
Just gonna try that.
And then we recorded the show in your living room.
Living room.
And I had us framed up. Guys would appreciate this. I had it framed so that you see us sitting in these chairs. But what I should have done is frame it from the waist up because everybody was obsessed with the fact we were in shorts.
Yeah.
And maybe some things you could see in the shorts. So,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was a couple comments. Not bad. They were like, "Oh, we got to see this."
Everyone's looking at the basket.
And it goes all the way back to the underwear story we had. Sex sells, right?
Well, thank you. So the mint chip is kind of other than Robbie Bobby liked it. All right. Well, next week we're going to try maple cream. So I'll let the cat out of the bag now. Don't make a face. It might be good.
It might be good. Yeah, I'm all for it. It's going to be delicious.
Okay. Next week, another Oreo taste test. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Thanks to the boys in the booth. Thank you, John. Thanks to our friends at Deep Discount. Be sure to, you can pre-order today the Sega Genesis Mini. But if you are time shifting, which most of you do now, it's available if you go to deepdiscount.com. But get there through focusgroupradio.com and click on their logo. Start shopping away. John did a Pick That Flick this week. So if you missed it or you're coming in late, rewind for your chance to win something from the Criterion Collection. And the new release this week is Ken Burns' Country Music, which we all want to see. So remember to don't text and drive, arrive alive, and we hope everyone has a good week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.